Hello, in this video we're going to look through a few questions that cover supply and demand equations, equilibrium values and elasticity. So let's just look at the first question here. We have find the equilibrium quantity and price relating to the following supply and demand equations, those two equations there. So what equilibrium means is that I let QD equal to QS. And whenever I see either QD or QS, I'm just going to call them all just the one letter Q. Okay, so what do my equations look like now then? I have 2P equals minus 2Q plus 5 and 3P equals 5Q plus 3. Now what do I have now? I have two equations with two variables. What are they called? They're called simultaneous equations. It's the same as x and y. So what we do is we get all the letters to one side on each equation and write the equations one over the other. So I'll just take this equation first and take him down here and put all the letters on one side. 2p plus 2q equals 5. Then take this equation down also. Take this equation down there. I'll have, and then take this equation down here. I'll have 3p minus 5q equals 3. Okay, so the routine in simultaneous equations is to either get these numbers matching or get these numbers matching. So that I can take, once they match, I can take one away from the other and that'll get rid of one of the letters. Now, one sure way that'll always work is just to look at the first column and say, almost say to yourself, do a swap. I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by the top number and multiply the top equation by the bottom number. Why is that? Because 3 by 2 is the exact same thing as saying 2 by 3. 2 by 3 is the same thing as 3 by 2. So that'll make sure that you'll always match. So let's do that. Take the bottom number and multiply it across the top equation. So I'll have 3 by the 2 is the 6p plus 3 by 2 is 6 again, 6q, and 3 by 5 will be 15. Okay, so what I'm going to, I should draw an arrow over there and just say what you're doing. I'm multiplying that top equation by 3. Now, for that equation, I'm going to multiply it by 2, the top number. So I'll have 2 by 3 is 6, and I can see that they're matching. I'm just going to move that over here, 6p. 2 by 5, but there's a minus, so it's minus 10q. And 2 by the 3 is the 6. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a line, and am I ready to go yet? Am I ready to cancel? No, not yet, because if I add them, I'll only get 6p plus 6p is 12p. That won't be no good. I want to get rid of that p. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the sign across the bottom equation, and you're allowed to do that as long as you flip everybody's sign. So there's a plus there, I'm going to change that to a minus. There's a minus there, so I'm just going to change it to a plus, and there's an invisible plus there, change that to a minus. Now I'm ready to cancel because I have 6p minus 6p, they cancel. What am I left with? 6q plus 10q is 16q. And 15 minus 6, if you're stuck over the calculator, 15 minus 6, 9. What's the next line? I take that 16 goes down underneath the 9. So I'll get 16 as 9 over q equals 9 over 16. Just go over the calculator and type it in. I don't even need to see it writing down 9 over 16. Just throw it in the calculator. Give me a decimal place, and I've 0.56. 0.56. Okay, now once you've found one letter, go back up to any of the original equations, which were these guys here, and sub it into any one of those equations. Take your pick, it doesn't matter. I'll just take that bottom equation there. So what I got that time was, so I'm taking him up to the bottom equation, and what I'll have is 3p. I'm going to take that q over the other side because that's what I'm subbing in. I have 3 plus 5q, okay? Now, but I know that q equals 0.56, so I'll have 3p equals, now just type it into the calculator, 3 plus 5 by 0.56. And I'll get, change it to a decimal place, 5.8. And now there's a 3 being multiplied on that side, so it comes down and is divided on the other side. So p equals 5.8 divided by 3. 5.8 over, press the fraction button, 5.8 fraction 3. And I get, change it to a decimal, 1.93. 1.93. So now I have my equilibrium values, and just don't always try and give a nice answer. Equilibrium values. P equals 1.93 and Q equals 0.56. Now let's look at the next question. Now it's a similar question. Find the equilibrium, quantity and price relating to the following supply and demand equations. Now the problem with these equations is they're not as simple as before, because I can't use simultaneous equations here because I have a q squared term. In the last question I just had p and q. I had no powers. I had no p squared or q squared. This time I have q squared. Now I'm still going to use the same approach. I'm going to say let qd equal qs and just call them all the one letter q. But I'm going to use the sort of the full meaning of equilibrium. Equilibrium means let everything equal each other. So not only let the q's equal each other, but let the p's equal each other. Now that it mightn't make a lot of sense when I say it first. Let p equal p. What I mean by that is we have two different expressions for p. We have that expression in blue, and we have that other expression in purple. So I'm going to say let that blue p equal the purple p. So underneath, this is going to be the blue p, and this is going to be the purple p. So underneath I have let the q squared plus 40q plus 300, let that blue p equal the purple p, the minus 2q squared. And remember, I'm letting all the q's equal to each other as well, so I don't need to write qd or qs, I just write q, plus 3q plus 500. Okay. Now, I'll need to get everybody to the one side here, so I'm going to take everybody across over here, so that minus 2q squared will come across to be plus 2q squared. That means I'll end up with 3q squared. The 3q will come across and become minus 3q, but there's a 40 there to meet him, so I'll get 40 minus 3, and that's 37. If you're stuck in them kind of sums, just use the calculator. And then I'll have the plus 500 comes over to become minus 500, so I'll have 300 minus 500. Again, if you're stuck, just double check in the calculator. Minus 3, sorry, 3, just move the calculator there. 300 minus 500, and I'll get minus 200. So minus 200, and that all equals to 0. Now, how do I solve an equation like that? That's a quadratic, so straight away use the minus b formula. Now, first thing I want to say, label what A, B and C are. A is 3, B is 37. Remember, just be careful if there was a minus there, it would be minus 37, so I'll just draw it out and I'll say it's plus 37. And C is minus 200. Now, in another video, the calculator video, I went through a sort of a quick way to go through the minus b formula. What nobody wants you to be spending 5 or 10 minutes even working out the minus b formula. You should be able to do it very quickly, and an even quicker way than was shown in the calculator video is to use these pink memory buttons here. See them, A, B and C's. You're allowed to store a number, any number you want, and for the A, the B and the C, and this is how you do it. So I want to store 3 into A, so I'm going to say 3, and that STO button stands for store. So to activate that, it's in yellow, so I need to press shift before it. So shift, store, and now literally just press the button that the A is on, and it says 3 is stored into A. Now store 37 into B, 37, store that into B, and now store minus 200 into C, minus 200, shift, store it into C. Okay. Now, what's the minus b formula? I don't even need to do any writing here. I can do it directly now in the calculator, because the minus b formula, you need to memorize it off by heart. So it's a big fraction, and it goes, I'm going to type it in exactly as I say it. It's minus b. Now to get b is in the pink, so I need to press that alpha button to activate it. Minus b. Now the next line in the formula is plus or minus, so let's just do the minus case first. Minus the square root of b squared minus 4. Now the great thing about this, as long as you store the proper numbers in for A, B and C, you cannot go wrong. Minus 4a c, you just have to press that pink button though all the time, all over 2a. And it works it out, straight away works it out for you. And you don't need to do any writing, just take it down from the calculator. So I just might make that a bit smaller. I have the first answer is Q equals minus 16 point. I'll take 2 decimal places, but that'll end up being 4. Now go back to the calculator and change the minus. Remember, minus b plus or minus, so I'll need to go back up now and change that minus before the square root to a plus. And I get the second answer is Q equals to 4.07. Now there is no quicker way than to do it like that. So get the most out of the calculator, and I know I'm talking through it, so you're obviously not going to talk through it when you're doing it. You type that expression in the minus b and type it in as fast as you can, to speed you up in the exam, and take down the two answers. And there's none of this equals, working it out and wasting a full scat page of working out the minus b formula, because you get no marks for it. Anyway, so there's our two answers. Now, remember, in business maths, there's no such thing as a negative Q, because Q stands for quantity. So we ignore any Q that's less than 0. So ignore that. So we have the equilibrium value for Q is 4.07. Now again, when you find one letter in equilibrium, go back to the original equation, any original equation, and sub it back in. So there's the original equation, so just take either one of them. I'll take that one this time. So I need to sub in that Q into that expression to get P. Now again, get the most out of your calculator. So P equals, I'm not going to draw it out. So what I'm going to do here is, again, watch the calculator video to see what I'm kind of doing here. I go through it a bit more slowly. I want to sub in 4.07, so make 4.07 your latest answer. Now use the answer button. I'm going to pretend that button says Q. Okay, so I'll have Q squared plus 40Q, and I can't go wrong here, plus 300 equals. And what it does is subs in the last answer into that expression there. And I'll have 479. So again, I don't need to see all these workings, because they can slow you down. 479. 479.3 6 or 37. I will not get too upset about that second decimal place, and give your nice final answer. The equilibrium, of course you don't need these if you're doing maybe one of the short 20 questions. Equilibrium value, sorry for the bad writing, equilibrium values, P equals 479.37, and Q equals 4.07. And Q equals 4.07. draw a little box around it.